Hello. I would want you to come on an adventure with me.
Hey guys, welcome to this first of a two-part series on how to set up your iPhone for your kids. In this first part, we're just going to go over activating the phone, getting your child signed in, creating an iCloud account for them, all the basic settings just to get the phone up and running. In the second part, we'll get into all the configurations, the parental controls, setting up Touch ID, the Ask to Buy, screen time, all that good stuff. So let's get to it. Okay, I've got my new iPhone here. I've just turned it on. I'm going to go ahead and choose English, United States. And because this is a new phone, we're going to set up manually down at the bottom. Go ahead and choose your Wi-Fi network. After you're signed into your Wi-Fi, wait for your phone to activate. All right, go ahead and say continue on the data and privacy terms. We'll choose set up Touch ID later just to keep things simple and moving on this introductory video here. For a passcode, it's up to you if you want your child to use a passcode to sign into their phone. Generally, you would probably let them use the biometrics, the Touch ID or the Face ID, rather than make them type in a code. So you can make this a code that only you know, or you can make it something simple that your kids can also use. Totally up to you. For our video, I'm going to choose don't use a passcode because it tends to kill my recording if I try to type in a passcode here. So I'll choose don't use passcode, but highly recommend that you guys use a passcode on your phone. Okay, choose the last option here, don't transfer apps and data, because this is a new phone we're setting up. Here they want to know your Apple ID. Our child doesn't have an Apple ID yet, so we're going to choose the option forgot password or don't have an Apple ID. Okay, here you're going to choose create a free Apple ID. All right, enter your child's name. We're going to use our favorite test child, Biff Jones. And so the birthday is interesting here. If you choose a birthday that is younger than 13 years old, if your child's under 13, it's going to ask you to consent to your child signing into this phone by signing in with your own Apple ID. And you'll see that here in a minute. If your child is over 13, you'll skip that step and you'll go right to the part where they can create their own Apple ID. So we're going to choose a child who is under the age of 13, just so you guys can see the screen for signing in as a parent. So here they want your Apple ID as the parent to consent to setting up this phone for your child. So enter your Apple ID and your Apple password here to allow this phone to be set up for your child. After you've verified your Apple ID, you'll be given a notice here. So if your child is under 13, they're going to let you know here that this account will be tied to your family account until that child turns 13 years old. I'm not sure why Apple is so strict on that, but it's basically impossible to remove an account from your Apple family account if that child is under 13 years old. So we're going to go ahead and continue. Okay, in order to provide parental consent, they're going to ask you for a credit or debit card. So go ahead and fill that information in. And after you've filled it all in, you can say done. It's validated my credit card information. Go ahead and say agree to the family privacy disclosure. And now they want to know your child's email address. So if you have not set up an email address for your child yet, you can stop here, go watch our first video on how to create and manage an email account for your child. And once you've done that, come on back here and enter your child's email address in here. Okay, if you followed the steps in our first video, you know how to access your child's email account on your mobile phone, where you're using your mail app to manage your personal email and your child's email. So go ahead and pop over to your child's email account, grab that code, and type it in here. Here it's going to want you to create a password for your child's Apple ID. So type in your password here and say next. If your child's phone has a phone number tied to it, you'll see that here, and you can use that number to receive text notifications, verification codes when signing into your child's Apple account. If your child's phone doesn't have a phone number, you can choose the option below to use a different number. I'm going to choose that option. I'm going to enter my phone number here and then say next. After you've entered the verification code, go ahead and say agree to the terms and conditions. I'm going to say don't use ask to buy for now, just to keep things moving here. Do you want to see your child's location? We're going to set that up later for now. Go ahead and say continue on the express settings. Continue to keep the phone up to date. We'll set up Siri later. We're going to set up screen time later as well. You can choose whether to share app analytics with Apple developers or not. We'll just choose the default light appearance. We'll just say continue on the home button haptics. Standard zoom is fine. And we're all done. Now that we're through with the initial setup, next comes the fun part. Setting up the phones so they're safe for our kids to use and functional for we, the parents, to manage. We still have lots to do, setting up Touch ID, setting up Ask to Buy, location sharing, and the big one, screen time. So stick around for part 2. We're going to cover all of that next.